Chelsea wrote a column. You spoke with Lindor, Chelsea. How is Francisco handling all the, I hesitate to say trade rumors, but there aren't rumors like he's available, big deal, he should be, the Mets are terrible. How's he handling all the talk?
Yeah, I tried to ask him kind of, what do you think about what you've given this franchise and sort of the way people are talking about you now, as if there's a world where, you could just go and everything would be fine. And, he didn't fully bite, but he acknowledged, I hear that, right? Like, my family hears that. And he said, like, I have learned in New York that you can't be a people pleaser. And so I think it's wearing on him. I don't think he would ever actually say that. He's not the kind of guy to kind of bare his soul. But I think he hears it. And I think he's also a little bit unsure of kind of where he belongs right now for that exact reason. They've kind of, I'm not going to say hung him out to dry, but they've certainly said, hey, we think we can move on without you. There's a world in which we're willing to consider that. And, a few years ago, that felt unthinkable.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I think that, with that, you have to have a little self-reflection, which obviously he was doing in that particular situation. But, if he had any issues, I'd be surprised if he didn't pick up the phone and talk to somebody, whether it was ownership or whether it was the general manager or, president of baseball operations, because any player, star player or others that hears his name mentioned or not mentioned would say, I want to get some clarity on this. I don't understand what's going on here, or whatever that conversation is. Now, if you look at it just realistically, what kind of trade value could you get from him right now anyway? You're not trading him at peak value. He's off to a terrible start. Now, yesterday, notwithstanding, prior to that, it's the first month of the season, but it happens to be in July. I don't think you could get out from his contract and get anything back in return. So it makes it unlikely that he'd be movable. But I do think from his perspective, if you had those concerns or issues, which I'm sure he did, I'm sure he's already spoken to somebody where they said to him, hey, it's not likely this is going to happen, and don't worry about it. Just proceed like you're going to be here. That would be the type of conversation, at least, that I would have with him in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, that's all well and good. I was curious what that conversation with David Stearns would look like. I mean, when he picks up the phone and talks to him. I mean, because I don't know if he's necessarily the most affable individual based on the way that he comes across to the media, right? So you look at that, and I think it's a little bit of a crisis terms of when you look at Francisco Lindor. Chelsea, you hit upon it in terms of where his place is with this franchise. At one point, I mean, the great run that they had in 2024, outside of the Alonso home run against Milwaukee, Lindor, everyone coming up to the plate, they were singing My Girl, right? He was then you have everything that transpired, the whining and dining, bringing in Juan Soto, all of a sudden $765 million. Then the collapse of 25, where was the pitching? It had nothing to do with Lindor, had nothing to do with the offense. It was because of the pitching why that team collapsed. Then you had the reports over the summer or over the offseason that there was great friction, right? And Stearns saw it as an opportunity to basically dismantle that entire group and dismantle that entire team. Then the rumors about maybe naming Lindor a captain. Steve Cohen comes out and said, under my ownership, there'll never be a captain for the New York Mets. So a lot of it has happened. Now people might say, well, he's still owed $160 million. Like, what exact trade market is there for Francisco Lindor, whether he's available or whether he's not available, whether this is fictitious or real? Who is exactly trading for Francisco Lindor and giving the Mets of anything of value? The answer to that is nobody. I mean, nobody in Major League Baseball. Given the fact that we're looking at a work stoppage following this season, who is assuming $160 million in guaranteed money to a player that might be on the downside of his career, where we might be looking at a salary cap following this season? That, to me, is the crisis and the position that you're in right now. And if you're Francisco Lindor, listen, put the big boy pants. You got to deal with it, right? So he has put himself in this situation from his play on the field and from his play up at the plate.
Well, that's my thing. Like, players far better than Francisco Lindor over the history of the sport have had their names brought up in trade rumors. And the Mets aren't even shopping him. It wasn't a report that the Mets are looking to trade Lindor. It was that he's not one of the names that are untouchable. Look at the other names. There are many reasons why they're untouchable, and few have little to do with their play. Like, nobody's taking Soto's 15-year contract, by the way. He should be untouchable because of his play. Nobody performs like he's performed for 2 years. And the young kids, like, it'd be stupid to trade them. It's not a knock on Lindor. Also, the team has been bad for 2 years. Also, he has been bad. Like, how? I think he
he has a no-trade provision.
Okay, so
he can control where he goes. He doesn't say yes to anything.
I think he would do himself a lot of good if he just came out and openly said, look, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm sorry that it's gone this way this year, and it's been bad for 2 straight years. I want to be here and figure this thing out. I know I've been bad. I'm going to get, like, just be honest. You said he's not that guy to openly emote. That's what he needs to do
But
now.
do you think he's comfortable enough to come out and say that, given the fact that this is Soto's team?
We don't know whose team it is yet. I mean, they haven't made that decision. It was supposed to be Lindor's team, and it's supposed to be Soto's team. Who knows whose team it is? I think that's part of their problem. Switching gears, Freddy Peralta and his disappointing season continue tonight. He'll take his near 5 ERA to his former stomping grounds and what is expected to be one of his final starts with the Mets. What's the market looking like for Peralta right now, Chelsea?
I'm not going to use the word robust, but I think it's there. Like, I think there are plenty of contending teams who view him as someone who's proven, who's gone through a bad season, who they can probably fix. Expiring contract, he's not that expensive. So, there are a lot of teams I think could be interested. Like, are the Yankees a fit? I don't know. Like, the Cubs were rumored earlier. Any team that needs starting pitching right now, I think makes a lot of sense. People love to talk about the Brewers, and I'm sure we will hear that tonight. That seems like a little too convenient to me, but I think there's a market. And from what I've heard, there are teams who maybe, if you're looking at Baseball Savant and the numbers under the hood don't look great to you, they're looking at other things that say, hey, this guy's going to be back on track pretty easily. So I think that bodes well.